Today I'm just going to be talking about Apple and why I'm invested in it, and if you're considering it, I'm just going to be talking about the reasons why you would want to as well. And one main reason is just that they have evolved their company. They're not just a hardware, they don't just sell iPhones, and I'm going to be going through that today. So at their last presentation, they just, went through their Apple TV service, which just shows that, Apple's entering the entertainment space with movies. I mean, they also have other services with their Apple Music and their Apple Fitness, but it's just showing that, if Apple sees an industry that has tremendous growth potential, they're going to partake in it and they're going to integrate it, among their product line and just use their moat that they've created of, you basically buying an iPhone or an iPad every single year, and you're going to be using all of Apple's services. Apple Fitness is another service that Apple is just starting to work on, and it's definitely trying to compete with the likes of Peloton for, these interactive classes that you can just follow along on your phone or your tablet or your watch, any device really, and just try to, get a community involved in exercising, especially with the way things are right now, where it's kind of hard to go to a gym just because of how everything's closed off. But now with the Apple Watch and Apple Fitness, you'll be able to work out at home and follow along with videos or classes from watching other people exercising, which can definitely help motivate people. So this is definitely another growing industry that they're partaking in. Along with all the services, you also have them releasing, new iPhones, new iPads, new Apple Watches, and they don't really have to improve them all that much to get people interested in them and excited to, pay another $1,000-$2,000 for a new device. There are people out there that replace their device every single year, and Apple can command, basically any price that they want. So that's very important that they control pricing, and they're not really competing with other manufacturers. Usually, if someone wants an iPhone or an Apple product, they're not considering other products. Once they're in that ecosystem, they just want the next iPhone or the next iPad. They're not thinking, which phone do I buy? It's which iPhone do I buy? And we're just going to be going through the financials of Apple just to see, is it fundamentally sound? Like, is it actually increasing revenues and everything? So we can see from 2017, it went from 229 billion to 2020 made 274, and in the last 12 months they made 347. So we can see a large revenue jump that's been fairly consistent. A giant increase during the lockdown, but that makes sense, just because people are, stuck at home, so they probably need devices for entertainment. So it would make sense that Apple would capitalize on that. And we can also see that their shares outstanding also decrease over time because Apple buys back their own shares, so that definitely increases your return over time. Because the fewer shares outstanding, that means every share you hold of Apple becomes more valuable and you own a bigger piece of the company because they don't issue more shares diluting you. And we can see the balance sheet as well. So their total assets, 323, total liabilities. So they have way more assets than liabilities. They can easily pay off everything very quickly. And we can look at their cash flows and we can see that in 2017 they had 50 billion in free cash flow, and then 64, a little bit of a dip in 2019, but generally going up 73 and then 94 in the last 12 months. So that's $94 billion of extra money that Apple has laying around, and they do pay a dividend of, a small one, but 88 cents annually for each share you have, and they do raise that dividend quite aggressively. So that it's another bonus of owning Apple, is that you get to partake in not only the share price appreciating over time, which has just been steady, you also get a little bit of a dividend, and they grow that as well. Because I think Apple is not a company that you're looking to sell. I think it's just a company that you can just continue buying over and over, and you just hold it just because of the fundamentals of the company, the strong durable advantage, the fact that you're basically only competing with yourself just with Apple products is a fantastic benefit to that. And then if we just look at Apple's revenue growth from the last several, let's say the last 7-8 years, you can see that they are growing their iPhone sales, their Mac sales. Generally, every single category they're in is growing overall. But one thing I want to just point out, just because some of the criticism and the bear argument against Apple is that they're only a hardware business. But look at their services revenue in 2012, and just the percentage of just how many billions of dollars that they make. So $3 billion back in 2012, and you can just see a steady increase. And in 2021, it's making $17.49 billion of revenue for Apple. So this number is just increasing over time. And the great thing about services revenue is that it has a much higher margin than the hardware business, although Apple already has a very high profit margin on that as well, because they can charge a premium for their devices. Other brands can't really do that because they risk losing sales. But if Apple does it, people pay it willingly. And I also do have Apple in my own personal portfolio. So I when I bought Apple, it was a little bit cheaper. I bought them in around the 120 range. So right now I think Apple is maybe slightly overvalued, maybe fair to slightly overvalued. I don't think it's a bad purchase though. So if you want to start a position in it, I don't think now is a terrible time at all, just because the price to free cash flow is only 20 times for the previous 12 months. So if you think that Apple's revenue or income will stay fairly consistent or even grow from here, then it's not a bad buy right now. But if you're have a more negative outlook on their future, then yeah, I could definitely wait for a pullback, maybe get it in the 130, 120 range. But I definitely think you can't really go wrong holding Apple. It's just the quality of the business is so high. And just to quote Warren Buffett, as long as a business isn't offensively priced and it's just a good quality business, your return in that investment is going to be just fine. Like, it won't matter if you pay an extra $10 or $5 for a share of Apple. I think long term you're going to be fine. And they also have some potential upside that isn't really factored into just their services revenue and hardware revenue growing. They're rumored to be working on an Apple Car. They're rumored to be working on an AR headset. And those could also just, make the stock go to the moon. Just make the stock price go crazy, just because Apple's always has that chance of innovating and changing the world, like with the iPhone, with the Apple Watch. They just do so many things. They adapt, and they just set the industry going forward in any field that they really want to. So that's just something to watch out for with Apple. It's just very unexpected, and I always expect them to do something. And the CEO, Tim Cook, even said that he wants to remain the CEO of Apple until he makes one last innovation, one last, footprint, on the company, just cementing his legacy. So that's definitely another interesting thing. So maybe he releases an Apple Car or an AR headset, and then he steps down. That's a great way to leave the company, to grow it ever since you took over as CEO, and then leave it with such a great innovation. I think is a great end to a great legacy. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't already, you can use my link for WealthSimple in the description, because that's the brokerage I use, and it's commission free for any Canadian stocks and ETFs. The only thing you have to pay commission on are American stocks, but quite frankly, if you're buying one share at a time, it's a lot better paying a little conversion fee and no $10 charge to buy a single share or buy some fractional shares, which I'm doing with Apple and Intel and BABA for my foreign stocks. And that's pretty much it. Have a great day.